Hey, everybody, welcome to the very first episode of Golf Business Live with Michael Williams. You've had Golf Business Live, but never with Michael Williams. I couldn't be more pleased to be here and be a part of this program, this effort with the National Golf Course Owners Association, which is made up of people who make the game possible. Golf courses are the thing that we do the sport at. So what you guys do is so important. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. We're here for the first episode. It's a very special one for a lot of reasons. But the PGA Merchandise Show here, 2022, for in Orlando, Florida. We didn't have one last year for obvious reasons, but now the game is coming back together after what was, under the most challenging of conditions, one of the most amazing years the game has ever seen. And people are celebrating, they're reuniting, and really getting geared up for what can be another record year in 2022. I'm so glad to be able to participate in that through this show. We're going to have partners of yours at the NGCOA. We're going to have manufacturers. We're going to have service guys. We're going to have people who are interesting and integral to the game, whether it's players or golf course designers, golf course owners, affiliates. Who knows? You know, it's going to be exciting. Hopefully, it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be informative and educational, because you know that your time is important, and I value your time too. I want to give you something you can take away and use to make your golf course everything that you want it to be. Again, it's just such an honor and a pleasure to be involved with this and the Golf Course Owners Association to bring this program to you. We're going to take a quick break. Our first show, we have a very, very special guest, a very close friend of mine, the great Hall of Fame architect, Robert Trent Jones Jr. is going to join us to talk about his life in golf, his accomplishments, and his thoughts on where the game has been, where it is now, and where it's going. Also, we'll have Chris Novak of PGA Hope, a phenomenal program that's helping veterans to become reacclimated and reinserted into society through the game of golf. It's a very special guest list. It's a very special show. It's a very special place. And again, I just can't stop smiling because I'm a part of it. Again, thank you for joining us. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Golf Business Live with Michael Williams. Stay there.
And I couldn't be more excited to have this guy as my first guest. And how do you introduce a guy who needs no introduction? He is literally from the first family of golf. The name is known for quality golf courses all over the world, many of which bear his own personal signature. He is an extremely gifted and accomplished golf course architect. He is a scholar. He is a conservationist, a philanthropist, lots of other things. But one of the things that I can say about him, and I hope that he would even partially agree, is to be able to call him friend. Please welcome my very good friend and in many ways mentor, Robert Trent Jones Jr. Bobby, welcome, man. So good to see you.
Well, Michael, thank you. And you are a friend. And friendship is the best act of love because it's given freely.
Indeed. First of many nuggets I hope to draw out of you today during the conversation. Where are you right now? Because I know you're always in some interesting places when I talk to you. Where do we find you sitting?
I'm sitting in Honolulu Bay in our beach house here, which we've had for 50 years off and on, in Kauai, Hawaii. It's almost across the international date line, and it's a glorious day. We don't see it right now, behind me because I'm working with you. But if the shades weren't here, you'd see the Honolulu Bay and its beautiful beaches and a glorious sunny day. And I'm anxious to get this over with so I can go play a little golf.
We'll try to get you out of here, make your tea time. We don't want you to hold you up from that. Okay. But I just wanted to get you in here as my first guest because I couldn't think of a better person to talk to golf course owners, because you have so much to do with their whole raison d'etre, right? It's about golf courses, about creating them and maintaining them. And you are an acknowledged leader in that creation process. So I guess the first question I want to ask is, when you've done so much work around the world, how does that relationship between you and a golf course owner generally start? Do you come to them? Do they come to you? Is it a little bit of both? And how does the conversation sort of start? Is it around, I want a championship course, or I want a fun golf course? How do those conversations start, and where do they go?
Well, I've had a long career, and my father and brother also have had. And in the WPA days in the 1930s, my dad worked for New York State and public parks in upstate New York, and then during the war, the late war, they built the West Point golf course, as attached to the Army Air Corps with German POWs doing the work. And then in the post-war time, he worked with Bobby Jones at Peachtree. And so to answer your question, it's a variety of ways. It depends upon the time you're in. We are right now in the jet plane age and have been for the last 30 or 40 years. So one of the reasons I'm in Kauai, Hawaii, is it's a 5-hour jet ride from the West Coast to get here. And it was pretty isolated until that happened. Now it's become a destination, island paradise, several island paradises. And we had great golf courses at extreme places in the earth. And so to get in touch with those people, you had to literally get in a plane and go there and meet them and then see if you had a common point of view. So owners have a vision, and we creative people are there to help them fulfill their vision and also keep them from making some technical mistakes, which might hurt their profit and loss at a later date.
And one of the big debates that we have now is about distance and how do we handle the ball speed and the technology that it allows even the everyday player to hit the ball much farther than they previously could. How do you figure those sorts of things, like the distance of the ball and land usage and water usage? These are very technical things, but how do you relate those to the golf course owners in the way that they can understand it and also incorporate it into their vision for what a golf course should be?
So, Michael, that would take a lot more. That'd be an essay answer. That'd take a long time to all that out. But essentially, golf is not a business, although for those people who own it, it is. It's a sport first, and it's an amenity to a hotel, part of a master plan, which is important. It carries water here in Kauai, where it's quite wet in the wintertime. Normally, it also, therefore, it serves as a drainage area because it's open space. And yet in the summertime, when it's droughty here, you have to irrigate it. So it's also a place where the sewage disposal, secondary sewage disposal plant has to dissipate in the field to fulfill that legal requirement to fulfill the need of both the sewage disposal being disposed of in a way that's healthy. Remember now, grass is a filter and grass is a crop. We're playing golf on a crop. So it acts in many ways to help the environment. We need to help the community understand that golf, which is often attacked, usually comes from the far, let's say, hardcore developers who see golf as a opportunity for an infill project. This is going on in California right now. There's a bill in the assembly essentially saying they should sell off all their municipal golf courses for low-cost housing. And that has some merit from the point of view of those who don't play golf. But what is a golf course? A golf course is an open space. It's where you go there to breathe, to cool down. If you didn't have Central Park in New York City, it would be pretty unlivable. So we need to get that message out that while there is an economic discipline to all golf courses, like any business, you have to conserve your fertilizers, use your labor well, get good machinery from Toro or John Deere, and so on. It is an operating business. It's also a benefit to the community as a whole.
And therefore,
in my opinion, should be taxed that way. In California, it's not taxed at its highest and best use. It's taxed as a golf course. In Hawaii, it's taxed at its highest and best use. So naturally, people look around at a golf course, if you're a developer, and say, well, I can put some houses on there. And the community says, that's great. But then they leave town, and the infrastructure has to be caught up with, and that falls back on the community. So tax policy is really important to ownership in every locale they're in.
Yeah, and again, this is the benefit of having someone like yourself who has so much experience in so many places, so many different situations. You can give a golf course owner a bit of a foreshadowing, a bit of a warning, a bit of guidance as you go along with lots of issues besides whether there should be a dog leg left or a dog leg right. I think that's the fun
part. Well, Michael, you may remember that we've also owned golf courses. We've done it all. Not only design and construct golf courses. My father founded a course in Coral Ridge in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and our family owned it. I oversaw the operation in the 90s. I founded a course in Medford, Oregon called Eagle Point, which is open to the public. So we've owned golf courses. So we're very, very aware of the ownership issues. We're sort of vertically oriented. We're not just fun guys that like to go out and say the bunker should be here and the green should be there. We know the whole thing.
I do, and I'm going to just pan my shot down just a little bit, and if I can do that, you will see this logo here. Where's this logo? The logo is here of Hogshead, which is a course of yours that was just recently done. And I just wanted to know, for Hogshead, you have such an ability to bring in classic design versus new trends. And how do you balance those things? What do you see as new trends, and what do you see as classic features that you like to maintain in every golf course that you do?
There's varied trends, as you might expect in a group of people. For example, I'm at a resort area, since we're here at Princeville and Mackay. They have new people go on vacation. Maybe one of the members of the family is a golfer, and he or she wants to play golf. And then suddenly the other people go on a sunset tour and see the golf course for the first time and say, oh, I'd like to try that. Maybe the kids come along and they have lessons available to them. That's a resort destination trend. We make the courses wider, probably the contours, more open entrance greens, the bunkers not too deep, and so on. If you're doing championship courses, purpose-built, such as Chambers Bay, which held the U.S. Open in Tacoma, Washington, or another Women's Open Championship, Cordoval in California, there we make the courses longer, the bunkers deeper, contours stronger, and so on. So it depends what the vision of the ownership actually is, and we adjust our music to fit the tune.
Gotcha. We're talking to the great Robert Trent Jones Jr. here with our first initial podcast of mine for the National Golf Course Owners Association. And Bobby, I hear like you got calls coming in, you got like tropical birds screaming in the background. I mean, it's all going on there, man. I love it. This is the great thing about being live. Okay, it's natural. I got the feeling. I feel like I'm in Hawaii almost, except for it's 20 degrees where I am. So you're really giving me the feeling here.
Well, come on over, Michael. We got a place for you. Well, you can come out and hang out with us anytime.
I'll call the NetJets people as soon as I get off this call. I will be out there, meet you at the course. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Jones name and the Jones legacy, because you're our RTJ2. Of course, there's RTJ1, and your father is, I think we were just talking about this earlier, arguably the most prolific golf course architect ever, certainly one of the most prolific of the 20th century. So much significant work that he did. What is it like to walk around and do courses and to bear the legacy of the Robert Trent Jones name? How do you honor that in your work when you do golf courses? Well,
first of all, my dad had a long life. He died almost 6 days short of his 94th birthday, and he worked right up till he was 90. People say, "When are you going to retire?" I said, "Why retire? This is kind of a fun thing to do. This is a creative work. And what do you do when you retire?" "Well, we play golf and travel." I said, "Well, that's what I do, and they pay me. So why would I retire?" So getting to the point, my dad didn't either. He was known for post-World War I, World War II championship golf courses, Peachtree in Atlanta with Bobby Jones, then later Belle Reve and Hazeltine, which held U.S. Opens. And for, I would say, many, many trends at the time, mainly in the United States, a little bit in Europe. And I took the mantle by being his apprentice for 10 years at his invitation. I was in California expanding the family business from New York, New Jersey area where I grew up. And he was doing great work then at Spyglass Hill for Pebble Beach, and then Mauna Kea for Mr. Rockefeller. And I was fortunate enough to be working on those jobs and learn the art of what we do at the master's hands. Then it came my time, and I'd been in Asia, and I loved working in Japan, and I expanded my own firm around 1971, 72 here, first in Kauai, Hawaii, which is a part of the Asia Pacific area, and then into Japan, where we did 25 projects, and then throughout Australasia, 85 projects over time. Well, the world was, the nation state was being rebuilt after devastation in the Pacific theater of the war. So we were there at the right time. We are adventurers. We went into the Soviet Union and built the first golf course that eventually opened in 1994. And mainland China and Shanghai, the second course in China, or otherwise golf would now be a part of the Olympic Games. So we have a very long vision. We not only work in detail on the projects we're working, but we see the trends and follow them. And if ownership sees them, they'll make some money while they're at it. and they'll at least make everybody happy. And that's where we see the future in golf is changing. I think destination resorts are going to struggle for a short time while that all this gets sorted out, but they'll be back. High-end courses are going to survive and do very well. The classic places like Shinnecock or San Francisco Golf Club or LA Country Club, they're just fine. Don't worry about them. The ones, the municipal courses, which are often subsidized, are community parks, and they're not just golf courses. They're also walking trails and bird sanctuaries and other factors, such as Chambers Bay, for example. But the ones that are suffering are places like in rural Alabama, where I was last month, celebrating my dad's work on the Alabama Trail, but also going and seeing a course he did in the 70s, which was a simple subdivision. And it's not easy in the middle class of America in the rural areas to keep them economically. So it's really a community effort. So what do I see? I see higher end courses. I see destination resorts and remote places where you can get to them. I see some of the courses having to figure out new ways to make money or to expand their interest in the game with younger people. Perhaps they, we talk about disc golf or top golf. That's not really golf. Golf, the word means club in Dutch, and those are not club games. They're really, I don't know, discus is an arm throwing thing, as well as top golf. It's a technical aspect of it. But if it brings people in, great. I see more simulator golf, getting people interested. The main thing is to get the next generation interested in any way they can on all of those ways. So they put a club in their hand and they hit it. Once they do that, we got
them. Great answer there, by the way. So we're talking about trends, and one of those things that if you go back to the old phrase, everything old is new again. We've talked about this before on a couple of my other podcasts. I want to talk about the trend towards the, and I'll use both of the words, restoration and or renovation of golf courses. And I think that we've seen some of the most venerable names in golf go through these processes, these procedures, somewhat relevant, if you will, or updated. And I wanted to talk to you about the difference between those two. How do you draw the distinction between a course restoration versus a renovation?
Well, there's actually three. There's restoration, which is going back to its origins, which may have been altered by greens committees or neglect. Or, for example, San Francisco Golf Club had maybe a third of their bunkers removed during the Depression and World War II because of maintenance costs at the time. They were stressed, the club itself, economically. Then they restored them. That's renovation. That's restoration. Then there's renovation, which is like painting your home. You got to, paint your home where the mold and critters will get in and eat the wood. Right. And that's a necessity. You have to do an irrigation system once in 25 years. That's renovation. And you're keeping basically the skeleton of the course, the rooting, the holes, pretty much as they are. You might add some white sand to the bunkers. You might change them a little bit with some better drainage patterns and things like that. But you're not changing the fundamental style of the golf course. Then, I would say the last one is changing the golf course completely, maybe rerouting it. We just did that at Country Club. We didn't reroute the whole course. So Billy Bell, it wasn't Billy Bell, it was a different designer, but we did not go down. We did not try to reform the style of the course in his style. We put it into what you might call a more modern style, which means that the bunkers were deeper, wider, more keeping with where the ball is landing today at the 270-yard mark off the back tee at a minimum, rather than 235 or 40 or 50 of his day. So that's it. That's a different style. Now you can go to another one, which is a blow-up style. You come to a course that really isn't very worthy and just start over. And we've done that too. So you have all these different approaches, all of which have different costs and all have different goals. But finally, the goal is to get out there and have people play and want to come back and play again. Golf should not be hard. We had a trend with George Fazio and others, Butler National, just too hard to play. Hard was considered good in 1970s. Actually, people lost interest in the game and skateboarding or something else, you know. So we want to have people keep coming back. And then finally, golf is open space, and I'm wearing this hat, Make Earth Cool Again. It's about that's Antarctica, the one continent we have not yet built a course on, but we hope we never do because we want to. But there are Kim Lyle, who is our graphics person in our office. She's going down with Climate Reality and a group to survey the island for a second time, make sure the krill are alive, not being overfished, so the penguins can survive on Antarctica. Well, penguins look to me like a new golfer, man. They'd stand up straight and they got two little arms, and we just got to get a game for them to play there. We'll see. But I think it's very important that we recognize the good we're doing for the planet and always have for 500 years by keeping open space open.
Yeah, very good points, all. And I know that you're an avid conservationist and environmentalist, and we could do a whole nother topic, a whole other podcast just on that subject alone. Before I let you go, I just have to ask one more question, which is about the relationship between a golf course owner and the course itself. Because some people refer to golf courses as the architect's children. It's your baby that you create. But I beg to differ with that analogy, because most of us don't raise a child and then give it away to somebody else, okay? Unless, it's sort of Dickensian, right? Oliver Twist, like, here you go, it's yours now. But that's what happens with you. You do create something and you pass over the stewardship of that creation of yours to someone else. How do you manage that feeling of maybe even a possessiveness that you have, an ownership that you have over the titular ownership of the owner, as the course is sitting there and matures and grows? How do you balance that relationship?
Well, we have to have a common cause, the ownership and the designer. And then it's handed off to other professionals like the golf course superintendent, the club manager. They may have a different point of view, which is namely survival. They want to make sure they do their job. So they might cut corners in terms of maintenance, and that will affect the attractiveness of the course. And maintenance and conditioning are very important to players. So in the meantime, some clubs have chosen to use management companies such as Kemper Sports or Troon Golf. And that's okay as long as the management company puts the ownership first and themselves second. For example, that's what Kemper Sports does. You'll never hear their name at Chambers Bay, and they manage it as they do the Bandon Dunes courses. But anyway, the point is that each location has a different way of approaching it. The old way of having elected people become your president for a year or two, and the Greens, the three most dangerous words in golf, Michael?
Tell me.
Greens Committee Chairman. Because he's in there for 1 year and he hates one tree, so he removes it. Or he thinks it would make the hole harder. And pretty soon it's a hodgepodge if you have several Greens chairmen in a row that have their favorite way of looking at a golf course. It's no longer has unity of style, look, or playability. So you have to be, I think the best solution is a long-term one. So we do master plans. They're not golf layouts. They're master plans. They take into account the drainage, irrigation, other factors, carrying capacity of cars coming in and out of the community, all those things. And if you have a plan and then the club has voted that they're going to stick to that plan for, say, 10 years, then the Greens Committee chairman has no choice but to conform to it. If, on the other hand, it's undefined, anything could happen. And sadly, some of our own courses, such as Wisley, got screwed up, and and that particular chairman has now resigned the club, and we're restoring it to our design. So these things can happen. So be very careful to choose a long-term plan over a short-term plan.
Gotcha. Bobby, look, we could sit here and talk for this period of time over and over and over again. Okay, we could do a couple of hours very easily, standing on our heads on a variety of different topics. Our time grows short. So I just want to take the last minute to say thank you so much again for taking the time. It's always a pleasure, always an education talking to you. And I can't wait to see you again, because you are, in fact, my favorite scramble partner. If I can get it anywhere near the green, you're going to get it up and down. This is what I know for sure. So,
Michael, my long game is giving me up for a younger man, and you're it. My short game is okay.
We are a team, my friend. Stay strong. Solidarity. Bobby, thanks so much again. We'll talk to you again soon. Yeah.
All golf course owners, without them, I wouldn't even have a job. But the game is such a beautiful experience for all of us, and we really appreciate their hard work and their dedication to our sport.
Amen to that. No, they're so grateful to have you on, as am I. Thanks again, Bobby.
Thank you, Michael.
Hey, welcome to Golf Business Live with Michael Williams here in Orlando, Florida, on the show floor of the PGA Merchandise Show. Haven't had one for a little while. I think you know the reason why. It is good to be back. Good to see the golf business really celebrating what was a record memorable year, despite all of the challenges of the last 2 years. So it's really be kind of a get together, a reunion, a gathering of sorts, and really long overdue. But one of the things we like to do is to get together and recognize the initiatives that really help grow this game and grow it in all kinds of sectors, even for those who you wouldn't normally think would be even interested in the game. So really pleased to have me today, Chris Novak of PGA Hope, which is an amazing program. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know more about it. Chris, thanks and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me on. I like what you're doing, on the show floor. It's great to see everybody. Great to see you without your mask on. Seen you walking by a couple of times, over by the Hope booth and seeing everybody with the mask on. So it's good to sit and have a face-to-face conversation with somebody and talk about this great game of golf.
It's literally good to see your face.
Yeah, well, not everybody says that.
Tell me about PGA Hope. What is the initiative? How did it get started? What's the mission and vision?
Sure. So PGA Hope is the acronym for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere. And what we're doing is we're using golf as a modality to help veterans in the recovery process. And we do that by using PGA professionals who are specifically trained. And we follow an 8-week curriculum where we start with the grip and go all the way to the 8th week where they go out and play a round of golf. Our goal in this when they go and play that round of golf is, let's say the veteran shoots 110. That's 110 moments in time that veteran's not experiencing or reliving the trauma that they're dealing with, whether while they were deployed or even the trauma we deal with when we get home, dealing with trying to simulate back into society. So we're not looking to make PGA professional golfers, by no means. But what we're looking to do is use the game of golf as a modality to help veterans overcome disabilities and overcome whatever trauma they're dealing with. And we do this through what we call the moment in time.
The moment in time.
Moment in time. So when you're about to hit that golf ball, what's the one thing you need to be thinking of? Nothing. Right. So if we can get the veteran to program his mind to think about nothing when they hit that golf ball, that's 110 moments in time during that round. The veteran has that relaxation and clearing of the mind. And so what we're seeing is that's then translating into other parts of their life where they're like learning to program their mind, learning to look at things differently, and we use the game of golf to teach it.
I love that, using golf to take control. It's a matter of self-control.
Yes, sir.
Self-appreciation.
Right.
And appreciation of the moment.
Correct.
I think we can all learn that.
Correct.
Right. How does a veteran get into the program, become a part of the
Sure.
program?
So we have our website, pgareach.org. Reach is the foundation of PGA of America, and military is one of the pillars, of the 3 pillars, and you'll find it there. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter under Action Nowak, and we have all sorts of programs. We have veterans out there in the community promoting the program, but we also have a partnership with the Department of Veterans Affairs. And when I say a partnership, we have what we call a memorandum of understanding. So the VA recognizes what we are doing as a therapeutic value to veterans. It's a safe environment and it's a structured environment. That's why you have to be a PGA professional specifically trained to interact with veterans and to teach the Hope program, not only adaptive golf, but also the military culture and veterans suffering from PTSD. As you know, a lot of professionals are hands-on. They like to grab your hands to get you to rotate your shoulder. So you have to imagine you have a veteran suffering from PTSD. If a pro comes up and tries to grab the shoulders, it may not end too well for the pro.
Right.
So when we instruct them and teach them about how to teach the game, that's one of the things we talk about is the military culture and interacting veterans with PTSD and just how to look for signs and things like that.
Tell me a little bit about your personal arc with the military, your service in the military, and how you got connected with golf as you say, a modality.
Right. So I was blown up on a range. They had an ammunition mix-up. I was 22 years old. I lost my leg below the knee. I then started playing sports. First sport I played was hockey. So I played hockey, stand-up hockey. I was on the USA national amputee hockey team. Traveled all over the world. Played in Russia, played in Salt Lake at the Paralympics, and From there, I went to work for the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I was running all the adaptive sports for the VA. And I know how much golf is therapeutic for myself, so I started a golf program with the VA, got in touch with PGA, and they're like, hey, let's do this great program together. And so here I am.
I bet when folks are working with your veterans in the Hope program, I can imagine it being just as therapeutic for those who are participating as those, if you know what I mean, those who are access to the veterans.
Yes, and I think, I've talked to pros, and you can see pros that have taught programs and see them breaking down and getting emotional when they're telling stories about the veteran that came up to them and said, I haven't left my house in a year. You make me want to get out of my house. And so it's a great statement. The PGA professional gets just as much and sometimes more that a veteran does out of the program. And that's what I like about the golf community. To me, there's no other industry and no other community that's as giving and caring as the people in golf.
Amen to that.
I firmly stand behind that.
I've had the same experience myself.
Yeah.
The program itself, is it one experience, so one and done and you teach skills, or is it an ongoing program for the veteran?
Great question. So the initial program is 8 weeks long. And so what we have found is, it's kind of like, what they say, if you've seen one section in PGA, you've seen one section in PGA. You know what I mean? Everybody does things differently. So the Hope program we got nailed down. But what we encourage is the sections and the veterans to come up with what's going to be best for their community after that 8 weeks. And so what we do also is we have the Secretary's Cup, and that's evolved around the week of the championship. The Monday before, we have about 12 different veteran Hope chapters come in. It's a championship experience. They have their names on the locker, tee times, they're announced, and they go out and play matches. And then we also, what we have called the Golf and Wellness Program. It's a week in DC that a section can nominate a veteran. The veteran comes, we spend half the day on health and wellness, whether it's meditation, whether it's group counseling, identifying problems, and the other half of the day, we teach them golf. And so we do that for 5 days. And then when they go back, they're an ambassador for the Hope program. They go in their section, they represent the veteran population in their section. They go out, recruit veterans, and talk to the section when they have different functions. Right now, this year, we put 7,000, almost 8,000 veterans through, and our projection for 22 is 10,000, and 26 we hope to hit 30,000. Yeah, and we can't do it without the golf community though. People opening up their courses, saying, look, you can use our driving range. We have courses that they'll see veterans at a Hope program and say, you know what, I have a pretty empty tee sheet on Tuesday afternoon. Why don't you and your buddies come out and play? And that's just, I cannot say enough about the golf community. And I've done I've worked with the NFL, did different organizations, but the golf community, hands down, my favorite and the best and most charitable.
Preaching to the choir there, I gotta say. Yeah. So just sort of get down to brass tacks, if a golf course wants to get involved and participate in the program, does it do so through the section through you?
Yeah, they've notified a section. And the reason we do that is we want the section to be involved. We want the section to have some ownership, and we want the section to know what's going on. And so you don't have just some rogue pro out there just doing his own thing. We want to make sure they're following the curriculum, and we reimburse them for all their costs and everything else. It's just a way to keep everybody in line.
And I know, there's so many great stories of healing and redemption. I can imagine there's so many stories.
Right.
Can you just give me just one that,
Sure. This is a great one. Gentleman named Randy Shack, and I'm going to get, I believe it's the North Texas section. He's an Army veteran, paralyzed from Iraq, and he's going through some issues, and his wife saw a Hope commercial or something on TV and says, I think you'd really like this. I need you to go. So he goes to the Hope program, sits in his car for the first two weeks, doesn't get out. I don't want to do this, I'm not feeling it, this isn't working for me. So wife comes home and the wife says, how's it going? Oh, it's going great. He finally gets out and participates. And it just so happened I got to go down there for the graduation. I was going to be in that area. I didn't know anything about this story or anything else. So on that last day of graduation, that 8th week, they play around the golf. And he's playing in a scramble format. He sinks He plays from a solo rider, sinks like a 60-foot putt that was unbelievable, that then made the top 5 ESPN plays of the day.
How about that?
This has totally changed his life. He now has a trailer that he has a solo rider in. He's goes events, competes in different golf events, and just it truly changed his life.
As you said, it's a moment.
Yep.
So that one thing that can happen from one moment to the next.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden you're on a different arc.
Yep.
Improvement,
Improvement,
enhancement, and now he's an ambassador for others.
Right. Yeah, he's one of our Hope ambassadors. Went through the first class, and he's just such a phenomenal American that in this program changed the path of his life.
If you wanted to tell one thing to golf course owners to say, hey, here's why you should be a part of this program, just in a couple of sentences.
Sure. What I would tell the golf course owners is we have to remember as Americans that it takes a nation to heal a veteran. The VA can't do it, Department of Defense can't do it, and even the PGA members alone can't do it. We need everybody to lean in and be part of the healing process. So I would ask your golf course owners and managers to think about how they could give back and be part of the healing process, and get in touch with your section and inquire about the Hope program.
You're such a great ambassador. The work that you do is priceless. Thank you for your military service. Thank you for your service to this program and to all our warriors who are out there returning. I know that I will be, from this moment forward, accessible to you. If there's anything I can ever do,
I'm going to take you up on that.
I'm a phone call away.
Thank you very much.
Operators are standing by.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great job. Appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity, too.
You got it. That is Chris Novak from PGA Hope. As I say, there are so many programs that are so worthwhile, and this one really stands a cut above in terms of not only its mission, who it's serving. I think if you can't connect to this one, you really have some connection issues. But again, we're at the PGA Merchandise Show 2022. It's going to be an amazing week. Look forward to an amazing year here in 2022 with the National Golf Course Owners Association. And I'm going to sign off for now and walk around and see some boots. For Golf Business Live, Michael Williams. We'll see you.